There's a new Nissan Patrol. Is that big news? Yeah, it is actually. The last one came out about 14 years ago. I knew that. I was there. I was there in Dubai when that came out. In fact, the company I was working for, ITP Publishing, along with Car Magazine, Car Middle East Magazine, we actually published a book. A commemorative book on the Nissan Patrol, doing interviews with owners and stuff like that. Why? Because the Nissan Patrol is like the Toyota Land Cruiser. Both of those cars in the Middle East have an incredible, historical, esteemed presence. In that region. They're really, really special cars. It is said that in most Saudi and Emirati households, there is at least one Toyota Land Cruiser or Nissan Patrol. And I have a long history with the Patrol. The Patrol used to be on sale here in the UK. And I remember I had one on test. I think I was at Used Car Buyer magazine or maybe Parker's, I can't quite remember. But it was about 20 plus years ago. And we got in a 3-door Nissan Patrol here in the UK, and I drove it into London because the thing was just ginormous for London, and I just thought it would be hilarious to drive it into London, so I did, and it was a lot of fun. What model would that have been? That would have been, I think that was, at the time, that was actually new. So that was a Y61 model. That was a Y61. 1997 onwards, but then the Y62 that came out in 2010, and now we have the Y63. And of all places in the world, it makes perfect sense to do the global launch of this car in Abu Dhabi. Yes, in my old stomping grounds of the UAE. So what are the key details of this car? Let me go through those with you right after this.
A brown car guy.
Right, so on 3rd of September at ADNEC, the Abu Dhabi National Exhibition Centre, that's where the all-new Y63 Nissan Patrol was revealed to the world. It's a global launch. It's quite extraordinary. It's very unusual to have global launches in that part of the world. So this was a significant thing. It made perfect sense. The car, the implication of that sort of doing it in that location is that this car is created for the Middle East. And in some of the bumps, that's kind of what they say. Now, to be fair, it's weird because, you know, Infiniti, which is a luxury arm of Nissan, the QX80, previous generation, was based on the previous Nissan Patrol. This time it's the other way around. So the QX80 Infiniti in some markets in America was launched, I think, in May of this year. And basically the Y63 Nissan Patrol is actually based on that car. So it's kind of worked the other way around, but they're related. And it could be argued that it's still just an overhaul of the Y62 rather than the complete ground up new car. But there are some significant changes. So, for example, the engine, the 5.6 litre V8 is gone. What's happening with all the V8s, guys? Oh my goodness. You know, there's another story, another breaking news story of a new car that's just come out. I'll do a separate video on that. And that's bringing back the V12. And I think the V12 has got life left in it. The V8, I'm not sure. And V8s are my favorite engines. Come on. But the V6 apparently has life in it, because instead the Nissan Patrol is going to get the 3.5 litre twin turbo V6. And if you're thinking this is related to the one in the GTR, yes it is. I mean, it's the same family. It's not exactly the same engine, but it's the same family. I think they're the VR prefix series of engines from Nissan. So it's part of that same engine. And it's going to replace the previous 4 litre V6 as well. So the 3.8 V6 will come with two flavors actually. Like I said, it'll be the twin turbo, but there'll also be a naturally aspirated one as well. And the twin turbo, the 3.5 litre twin turbo, that will have, which is similar to the engine that I'm talking about, related to the GTR, that will have 425 brake horsepower and 700 Newton meters of torque. They have 400 and something horsepower. Now I remember, because I drove quite a few Nissan, certainly the Y62 in Dubai when I was there, on road, off road, in wadis, and on track. I drove a Nismo edition Nissan Patrol around the Dubai Autodrome, which is actually quite hilarious. It wasn't very good, but it was hilarious though. But it was a great road car, actually, quite a weapon. And what they hadn't, I don't think they had improved the power that much. I think they just lightened the car a little bit and just tweaked it a bit. I think they had about that much, but I'm not sure. If I find the correct figure, I'll put it on screen. But 425 horsepower is what this will now have with 700 Newton meters of torque. Now that's quite impressive. That's pretty staggering. All-wheel drive, of course. It's still, by the way, a body-on-frame car, because this is the other thing. It's like proper off-roaders, as off-roaders like to say, has to be a body-on-frame car, and this still is. So it's a 9-speed automatic, though. And then the 3.8 naturally aspirated V6, that's about 316 brake horsepower, so over 100 horsepower less, and significantly less Newton meters of torque. It's got 386 Newton meters of torque, but it does still have the 9-speed automatic and, of course, all-wheel drive. So this will be very interesting in the sense that this will be a car that will be completely updated. Now let's talk about the styling a little bit. They're saying, from what I've heard from people that were at the launch and from some of the reports that I've read, they're saying that the car actually looks bigger. Or is bigger, it's taller and wider, although I think it's pretty much the same wheelbase, but the design I think is certainly a lot more boxy, it's a lot more squared off. The rear certainly is a bit more angular, more sharper edges to it than I think the Nissan Patrol, the previous one, had, which I guess has sort of been going that way, although the original, this is I guess harking back to not the Y62 61, maybe the one before that, which were definitely a bit more squared off, a bit more uniform, a bit more utilitarian. And I think that the overall shape and silhouette of this car is kind of going back to that, although of course in execution it's thoroughly modern with thoroughly modern detailing, including a light bar across the back, blacked out rear, blacked out roof, that kink in the back. I always thought that was a little bit awkward on the current Nissan Patrol, but here I think what they've done is they bisected it with a black top and a white, so they've turned it into kind of like an airfoil blade kind of look, which I think is pretty cool. So C-shaped LED headlights now, the tall shoulder line, so it's a bit taller, rear light bar as I've said, and a V-motion grille, so it's the signature Nissan grille. The interior is very impressive. I mean, it's very clean and it's very modern. It's also feels very big. That center console looks incredibly wide, but you know, it's got that full screen that goes across the top of the dashboard, and I'm sure it's going to have all of the latest equipment and the technology and all the rest of it. In fact, I can tell you that it's got a 28.6-inch display for the instrumentation and the infotainment, massage front seats, Google is built in, 12 speaker Klipsch premium audio system on this car. Infrared passenger temperature monitoring system. Now this actually makes a lot of sense for the Middle East, you know, because of hot and cold AC. And I remember years ago what they did, I think it was Lexus actually introduced that with the LS, where they had individual zones. So for example, if you were driving along and you picked up a mate, and the mate jumped in, and the mate was all hot and bothered because they'd been waiting outside, but everybody else was comfortable, then the Lexus would zero in on that particular passenger, having sensed their temperature difference, and adjust the climate in that part of the cabin accordingly. So I think this is sort of that thing, climate control adjustment according to passenger body temperature is what the Nissan has as well. Nissan ProPILOT Tech, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, so all of those things. Hey, are you liking this video? Then make sure that you hit the like button. That's really important. Also, tell everybody. So interestingly, this is about 14 years after the previous one, Nissan, the Y63, was also revealed in the UAE. And the president and CEO of Nissan Motor said the Patrol is part of this region. And for us at Nissan, the Middle East is a very important market. People have a very strong passion for the Patrol. You understand what it means to defy boundaries. Okay, that's what they said. And he also added that the Patrol is our longest running global nameplate. Now keep in mind that in America, it's the Armada. So previously they renamed the Patrol in America the Armada, and now there's a new Armada there, which is basically based on this Patrol. I think there's slight differences, but it's basically the same car. So the Armada, so this new Patrol is also the new Armada in America. And he said the Patrol is our longest running global nameplate. More than 2 million units of the Patrol have been delivered to buyers around the world. The new 7th generation is a bold leap forward. It redefines what an SUV can be. It allows you to approach every journey with style, confidence, and capability. That's what they're saying. So how much will it be? Well, they didn't reveal any prices, but apparently the previous Patrol there was ranging from about 200,000 up to 400,000 dirhams. So we're looking at about 45,000 to 80,000 pounds for the previous car, about $50,000 up to about 100 plus thousand dollars. So I'd imagine the new one will probably come in a bit more than that. So I'm reckon at the top end you're looking at probably 450,000 dirhams, I'm guessing. So that sort of figure is what we would anticipate. Anyway, exciting times. It's what the amazing thing about this car and why I think this is so significant is that it's not a hybrid and it's not an EV. So they have accepted and recognized that a Nissan Patrol, which needs to go into the desert, cover long distances in the desert, which needs to be robust, reliable, and you should be able to fuel it everywhere, and you cannot run out of charge in the desert in your vehicle because you will die in 50 degrees heat. So, and you will need the AC on, you will need everything on, you need all the electronics on, so you will put maximum load on this thing. And it's interesting that the Patrol, because you know, when people go off-road in the Middle East, and you have the Range Rovers, and you have all the fancy other cars and the G-Wagons and all the rest of it, when they go off-road, they take the Land Cruiser, they take the Patrol, or they take things like the Jeep Wrangler, or the trucks, like the F-150s and stuff like that, because they need something that can do the business and then can get you home, and that's quite important. So it's quite interesting to see that they have stuck with a petrol engine for this thing, a well-known and powerful and very torquey petrol engine, and should be very exciting. I'm looking forward to reading what people think of this car out in the desert.
Yo, it's quantum races, tales from the future's face. 13 stories gonna take it to outer space. From Martian canyons deep to Dubai's high rise. Secret lives, AI drives to the man who flies. Pedal to the metal in a 325. Race through time, keeping hope alive. AI takeovers, more lines than blur. Get your engines ready, rev it up for sure. Quantum races, lessons at the finish line. Fast-paced fiction to blow your mind. Tap and turn, more survivals to grind. Get lost in the pages, see what you find. Past predators hunt, tomorrow's man leads. Dystopian dreams where the future feeds. From India to the Middle East, stories collide. Uncharted roads in this epic ride. Jump in the driver's seat, feel the thrill. Spinning through the cosmos, choosing that chill. Worlds without wheels, secrets to unfold. In quantum races, legends are told. Quantum races, lessons at the finish line. Fast-paced fiction to blow your mind. Tap and turn, more survivals to grind. Get lost in the pages, see what you find.
Shout out time, guys. Thank you so much. Hey, if you enjoy my content, why not get involved? Buy me a coffee. You can do that at either of these links. Or if you're watching on YouTube, buy me a thanks or take out a membership. It all helps. It really does.